me. Bear with me. So we'll get started very shortly. I just want to make sure that these slides are actually popping up for you. Okay, there we go. Hopefully this is working. You never know, do you? Okay. So I'm just going to hang on a minute and just see where we get to. So if you find yourself listening to this on the replay, thank you very much for being here and for taking the time to do that. And if I see you here shortly live, hopefully I will be saying thank you to you in a second. If there is anything, let me just stop sharing for a moment. Okay. Right. Well, I've given it a bit of time, so I think I'm just going to crack on and go with it. And as people come along, I'll just let them in, and that'll be fine. Okay. So let's go back to that sharing screen business and get the slides up. Okay. And hopefully you can see that. There's no one here to tell me whether you can or can't, so I'm just going to go with it. I wanted to start with just a few little notices, and don't mind me, sorry, I've just got notes. So thank you for being here. Thank you if you're watching this on the replay. I would say if anyone was here that if it gets a bit loud, then please just put yourself on mute or stay on mute, up to you. If you have any questions, please interrupt me anytime. And if you're listening to this on the replay, please just reply to an email or drop me a DM on any of the social medias. Not a problem at all. Happy to be in touch. If there is an emergency here, I will just shut things down and leave. And if there's an emergency with you at home, please do the same. And normally at speaking events, you give notice about fire exits. Well, I don't need to do that. And in this time, I'm hoping to just share with you, some knowledge and experience I've had as personally and as a trainer over the past 8 years. And I anticipate this will take about 30 to 45 minutes. So there we go. Introductions done. Opening slide. There we go. The aging myth: how to stay strong, mobile, and pain-free life. So I'm not reading that very well. So really, I guess I wanted to do this topic and talk about it because I come across, many people. I work in a gym and I have private clients, and I speak to a lot of people who are easily over the age of 40, if not older. And a lot of people, you feel like, they're being told by their GP or their physio or their enthusiastic family members that they must keep moving. And okay, that's fine, but what does that look like? What does that mean? How does that feel? I have one client who says, she didn't know, she'd never done what she considered formal exercise in her life. Don't get me wrong, and don't get her wrong. She had been an active human being. She'd worked with horses for a lot of her life. She'd had very active physical jobs. She'd taken care of her mum as her mum had gotten older. She'd been what you might say is active. So what does it mean when people are saying that you just need to be stronger? And those are some of the things that I hear people saying. And that also often as we age, there's a feeling that, I don't know, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. There's no point. This is just what happens to the body. It's just part of aging, just need to get on with it. And that just hurts my heart a little bit because it just doesn't have to be the case. We don't just have to put up with things. There is another way. So yeah, sometimes we sort of limit our own selves, and we think, well, I've never been able to exercise, or I've never been part of a team. I mean, I can't tell you the number of times I said my hand-eye coordination is terrible and I can't hit a ball for toffee. I can't, but I'm still going to go and try that new paddle sport with my friend Laura. Do you know what I mean? Like, we can have a go. It's fun. Sometimes it also shows up in just the things that we say, like in fashion. It's like, oh, I'm just too old to wear that now. You know, part of me wants to go, why? Wear what you like. But like, these are just some of the little messages that we're saying. Trying new things, like, yeah, can't teach an old dog new tricks. Again, total fallacy. It's becoming more and more well known that the longer we keep ourselves, the more we can keep ourselves actively learning and trying new things is actually really good for our neuroplasticity. So good for things like, sorry, I just had to check, see if anyone was coming in, just to see if people were, neuroplasticity to fight off things like osteoarthritis, that, like Alzheimer's and dementia, that kind of thing. Learning is really important for the brain and keeping ourselves just useful, really. And then I've written here, in exercise, I'm too old for all that. Oh yeah, that's a young person's game, or that's something I did when I was younger. There's a lot of that when I talk to people and they say, oh, well, I used to do, but that was when I was younger, as if that's some kind of blocker for doing it now. And doing it now as an older person, sure, it's going to look different. You know, mum isn't going to be driving you to the class, and there certainly isn't going to just be a sort of ready-made teacher. We have to go and find those things, but it's still possible. There are still activities out there that we can go and try. And I guess the last thing I want to sort of try and say is that there's this kind of assumption that when we retire, we just get to sit down and put our feet up, which is a lovely thought. And I completely understand why people think it. You know, you've worked hard all your life, you deserve a rest. But the proof is out there that when we do that, the body slows up, we lose muscle mass, and these aging conditions come in and they bite hard, and we lose independence, and it's just not a fun place to be when, you know, you can't get up and down. I mean, this is extreme, but you can't get up and down off the toilet by yourself. You struggle with the stairs. You can't open a jam jar. Like, there are just things that then sort of hinder us in life, and nobody, you know, none of us deserve or want that. So today I promised I was going to go through some of the myths and dispel some. I'm going to go through 3. I feel like there are probably more. And yeah, I guess maybe that will be another live session for me to do. But today I'm going to go through 3, probably that I hear the most often. So I've written it here as exercise only works if it's intense and probably painful. This can also be, you might also resonate with this if you hear the expression like no pain, no gain. People generally think if they're going to exercise, that it needs to be hard, it needs to be difficult in order for it to be of benefit and make any changes. And to put it plainly, it just couldn't be further from the truth. Actually, what we find as, I'm not a physiotherapist, but what physiotherapists will find, what rehab specialists like me will find, even like regular personal trainers will find, is their clients will come in, they'll want to do things hard, they'll want to do things fast, they're full of motivation and they want to go and just get this done. And in reality, that generally leads to a very uncomfortable client, normally a backward step in their injuries, if they have any injuries, or a very uncomfortable couple of days after the exercise when they're just in what we call DOMS, which is this delayed onset muscle soreness that you experience after a new activity. We've all done it. We've all felt it. Gardened a bit too much, or been for a longer walk than normal, and your body aches a bit the next day. That's fine occasionally, and it wears off. But if you're trying to do exercise like that week in, week out, and create that sort of DOMS in your body, it's just destroying. It has a breaking down effect in the body. There's a physical thing that goes on, and it's just demoralizing as hell. And you just don't feel motivated to do the next class. Why would you, when it's that uncomfortable? So it kind of then lends itself into this boom and bust, where people go at it, get the aches and pains, and they might go at it for like one session, they might go at it for 2 weeks, they might go at it for a month. At some point there will be a bust, and it will just be like, oh my God, I can't do that anymore, I can't keep that up, oh, that's awful. And then it can turn into this blame game, like, oh, I'm hopeless, I'm useless, I should be able to do this. And at some point, a week, a month, a year, whatever it is, you then go and think, oh, right, you know what, exercise is the right thing to do. Loads of people have told me this, I should be doing that. Okay, all right, I'll give it another go. And it becomes this same cycle. And then people just get really frustrated. And they come to me, or anyone like me, just being like, no, exercise doesn't work for me, can't do it, don't like it, it's uncomfortable. And it's sort of no wonder they feel that way. And I obviously don't judge them, but it just really, I really wanted to say that because I wanted to really ring home that in reality, movement should help and not hurt. It should be there to support you and genuinely make a difference. It doesn't need to be intense. It doesn't need to be the hardest thing you've ever done. If you only go to one exercise class per week, you can't expect to fulfill all of your fitness goals in that one session. That said, do that session to your 60 or 70% ability and keep doing that week in, week out, and you will gradually see a difference. You won't be put off because it's too hard, you've made it too uncomfortable for yourself afterwards. You will just genuinely know, you'll get to the end of that session and be like, oh, okay, do you know what? That wasn't too bad. I managed that. That was okay. I can do that again next week, which is the sweet spot, which is absolutely what you need. As a trainer, there will be times when I'll push people a little bit and give them a little challenge, but that's all. It's a little bit. It's like, oh, could you do an extra? That is it. That's all it needs to be. Nothing more intense than that. Also, when we're not trying to push exercise and we actually just do it properly, it improves our mobility. When we do it regularly, it reduces pain, and we don't have to grind through exercises and workouts. It's just not. I think I've made my point. It is just not fun. So the most important thing is any exercise is to have a go, concentrate, do it relatively properly, but don't beat yourself into a pulp over it. I think that covers it. If there are any questions, you can just drop me a message afterwards, excuse me. So myth number 2, I'm just going to have a sip of tea. I just need more motivation to stick with it. So this reminds me, this is akin to people saying things like, oh, I'm going to start that diet on Monday, or when the weather gets better, then I'm going to go out running, then I'm going to go for a walk every night. As soon as the weather gets better, that's what I'm going to do. It's that waiting for motivation to come that can be a problem in itself. Just to give you a definition of motivation, it is a response to a need. So quite often we're highly motivated when the response to the need is very urgent. So something like if you had a toothache or a stomach ache, you would do whatever you could to make sure that you got appropriate painkillers and to see the GP or a dentist. You would get to the bottom of that quite quickly. But once that's resolved, that's it. You don't need it anymore. You don't think about it anymore. So motivation can be tricky because, if, for instance, some of the people that I work with have got joint pain issues, osteoarthritis, and again, not their fault, but over a period of time, that pain becomes part of your norm, and it just becomes very accepted. And then, so where's the strong motivation? Because you've just gotten used to it. You've adjusted your life and just made things a little bit easier and soft around the edges, and that's fine, and you're sort of willing to put up with it. Often, though, there will become a point when someone's in joint pain, it's disrupted that much of their life that they'll be like, I'm not dealing with this anymore, which is totally fair. But I'm just trying to give you that idea of, like, motivation is a response to a need. So how great that need is important. Also, to say that motivation can be intrinsic and extrinsically sought. So a desire to, say, lose weight through exercise might come from, I don't know, from society. Maybe there's a family culture of wanting, people, this idea that people need to be smaller to be healthy. And you feel that externally, but actually in yourself, you might just be fine. You're not that worried, which is fine. So I'm not explaining this very well. So extrinsic is when we're trying to meet the expectations of others. Now, sometimes that works for us, like if we need to pass an exam at school or at work to achieve something, then it's important. When it comes to our own health and looking after ourselves and exercise, it's not always that sticky. It doesn't always work for us that well. Whereas when we think about when we're intrinsically motivated, when we're motivated from within, and it's our own desire to make our own life or our own situation better, that motivational feeling is stronger, and we're more likely to stick with something because it means something to us. So my example that I've got written here is that, and it might surprise you, it's my own example, is that I don't exercise for the sake of it. I can't. I mean, like, I'll go for a walk because I like going for a walk and it's nice weather and I like to see the scenery. I like to find new places. I like pretty villages, whatever. That I will go for a walk. I take part in Olympic weightlifting, and I'm not saying everyone needs to do that. I'm just saying I take part in it because I like being involved in a sports team. I like meeting new people. I like turning up and everyone saying hello to each other and it being a nice environment and it being supportive. That means something to me. That is what gets me to keep going. I mean, honestly, throwing a bar above my head, and when I was rowing 2,000 meters a couple of times, is not that much fun in its own right. 2K, especially when you're like sweating, and it's just not. But that camaraderie and the feeling of belonging and being with people, that's what sticks. That's why I would go. Other things about it are that I gain resiliency, and I'm always got this willingness to learn and feel prepared to learn, which is nice. It's useful, it's empowering, it's engaging. And also being part of doing exercise regularly means that I'm fit to do, I'm relatively fit to do other things. I can try new sports. Like a couple of summers ago, I was like, sure, I'm going to just try paddleboarding. You might have your own thoughts about paddleboarding, that's fine. But I was like, I'm just going to give it a go. And I had the balance and the strength to be able to do it. And it's that's important, not the fact that I did it. It's that I was intrinsically motivated, and that it means something to me that I can go and try other activities and enjoy myself and have a laugh. And I can consider this paddleboard paddleboard sport thing with my friend and we'll just go for a laugh. If I didn't feel confident in myself, I wouldn't do that. So that's, hopefully I've explained that well, that it's motivation, intrinsic motivation is really important, and that motivation otherwise can be quite fickle and can come and go. So what have I written on here? What actually keeps people moving is having reliable, enjoyable way to stay active, one that fits into their daily life without feeling like a chore. Absolutely. I can't express that enough. That is just so important. So that was myth number 2. This is myth number 3. Exercise only works if it's wrong page. If I'm not losing weight or lifting heavy, I'm not making progress. So this for me is a very strong outcome focused, success or failure way of thinking. And this can also be expressed, you might hear this in yourself or in people around you when it's very, weight loss one is an obvious one, but like the sport one, if it's exercise, it can be, I didn't work very hard, or I didn't do as much as I wanted. Some people run and that's fine. But it might be that, I'm still, my 5K is still 40 minutes, it's still 10 minutes too long. Or it might be, it's this notion that if you're not meeting, like if someone asks you in an exercise class to hold a hold plank for 45 seconds and then you can't do it, and that was something that you were hoping to do, there's a lot of success and failure with that. You either did or you didn't. And actually, there's a joy to be had in the process of being able to then plank for that amount of time, because there will be some people that can't do it at all, and you'll be pleased that you can. It's the process of getting there that is so much more important. The other example I had in terms of weight loss was, so if I was going to a friend's wedding and I wanted to lose weight to get into a particular dress to be able to go, what happens if I don't make that weight? What happens if I don't fit into that dress? I've got to find something else. But what happens to me? How do I show up to my friend's wedding and be supportive of him or her when I'm thinking, I didn't lose the weight to get in the dress, and this isn't the dress that I really want to be in, and I spend I don't suppose people really would, but you spend a nagging voice in your head going, I should have done that, and if I could be having a better time, or just that not being able to fit into the dress then just takes the shine off the day. And then how are you there showing up to your friend being like, congratulations, this is great, when part of you inside is going, I didn't fit into the dress that I was meant to do for this. It's like kicking yourself, and it's just not an enjoyable place to be at all. And then I guess another example is, this is more of an example of what happens once you're there. When you're able to, so for instance, very recently, a client of mine has had total knee replacement. She was 12 weeks post-op. She was okay. She came in and just felt like she plateaued and things weren't this bright and shiny better that she thought they were going to be after having the knee up. And, it takes a lot of rehab to come back from surgery. It really does. It can be really demoralizing at times. But in the space of 4 weeks, that we've shone a light on that, and we've had tiny little goalposts where we've been moving things along. She has now moved on to just using one crutch. There are just these little tiny benchmarks that go along the way. What else have we done? We've been stepping off of things, stepping off of plates. She's been able to do the stairs at work without a crutch. All right, she's doing it slowly at the minute, but we know that that will go quicker the more that she does it. So it's being It's being part of the process, not rushing the process and doing too much too soon, but being part of the process, noticing the journey and celebrating wins along the way. So that might be buying yourself some flowers. It might be another client this week was like, oh, I want a massage. Well, get yourself a massage. Like, you're doing well. Keep yourself going. This is important. And another one that I thought of just now was tell your best friend and accept their praise. When they tell you you've done a good job, just say, thank you very much. I have, haven't I? I'm really pleased. Because that's important. That's ultimately what keeps us going, is just being positive and acknowledging the journey. It's so innate in us to look for the negative, but to actually just to put that to one side for a minute and just acknowledge where you are, how far you've come, what you're doing, and what you plan to do next is just, it's just lovely. So what else did I put on this slide before I ramble on? Strength isn't about how much you weigh, it's about what your body can do. And small everyday wins add up to huge changes in mobility, confidence, and long-term health. I mean, that means a lot to me, for sure. So those are the 3 myths. And you might be asking this question, how do I make that happen for me? Well, let me have a go at giving you, no one wants to be told what to do, right? We're all grown-ups, you're all adults, you know what you're doing. But let me give you some boundaries to work towards, to make sure that you're dispelling each one of those myths. So myth number 1, which was exercise only works if it's painful. We're going to scrap that. And instead, over the course of a week, you're going to try, I don't know, a fit in, and don't do this all at once. Just like one week, do 1, next week, do 2, next week, do 3. You're going to find exercise. I mean, you may already be walking the dog and you just need to make that a little bit longer. Fine. You're going to find exercise that you can consistently keep showing up for, that you enjoy. You might need a bit of variety. You might need to do some things that you don't like doing. Like, you might not be a yoga person, but you also might be really stiff, and therefore you do need to do a bit of yoga. You may not be a fan of cardio. You're going to try and fit some flexibility training, some cardio training, and some strength training in. And if you have to try a million different classes to find the right instructor, then that's just what you're going to do. The most important thing is that you find activity that you feel like you can just show up for each week, that you can do 60% of your best, 70% on a good week, and that you just keep showing up for it. Then the second myth that we're going to give you some boundaries to help dispel was that you need more motivation. Now, this is a bit of a journaling exercise, so it might not be everyone's cup of tea, but you can also do it in a conversation with a friend. I want you to write down why you're doing it and keep asking yourself, what does this mean to me? What does this mean to me? Why is that important? What does this mean to me? And at some point, you'll get to an answer where you'll go, I get it. That's why. And then that is your intrinsic motivation. That is the real meaning and the real reason why you're going to show up for yourself day in, day out. Okay, so try that. The question is, write down why you're doing it and keep asking yourself, what would that mean to me? Last myth was the outcomes, focusing on the outcomes too much. And this, I'm going to say to you, have patience. It is okay. Have patience. Take your time. Don't be afraid to ask questions. If you've got questions and you don't know the answer, however you go and find that answer, chat GPT, employ a PT, ask the local person on the gym floor, ask your best mate who loves running. Don't mind. If you've got a question, you don't know the answer, try and find that answer out. And the second part of this, to resolve this, is to keep a diary of what you're doing. And I don't mean like a journal, really in depth, like, this is what I did, this is how I want you to just record the workouts that you did. If it's in a diary, in a diary, and if you're using weights or you're walking a certain distance or you're walking a certain time, I want you to track that. Keep an eye on that somewhere. It doesn't need to be elaborate. And that will help you to, when you have those moments when you're wondering what you're doing it all for, that you can just remind yourself where you've been, what you got from it, why it's important. And that will then help you support your intrinsic motivation. And keep remembering that exercise doesn't have to be hard. It has to happen, but it doesn't have to be hard. If you need to give 50% that day, great. If you find yourself turning up and you can give 75% another day, great. It doesn't matter. Just show up week in, week out, and show up with what you have. So I've spoken a lot there. Hopefully you can see. And you've probably thought of other myths as well that I haven't mentioned. Like I said, I'm pretty sure there are more that are possibly holding you back and holding people back. And maybe you're here because you wanted to hear this today or needed to hear this today. And maybe deep down you've known for a while that you yourself want to move more, feel stronger, and stay independent. We don't often want to think about it, but lots of us are living till we're 80. And what does that look like? And none of us want it to look none of us want to be wheelchair bound. We want to do as best we can by ourselves. And that sense of wanting to do the best by yourself and find exercise solutions that help you is exactly why I created Hit and Chat, my community and system to help you stay consistent, strong, and mobile in the most simple and supportive way. Because there is a lot of fitness industry jargon about, that whole got to work hard to make a difference kind of thing. But we've talked about that. And as we've said, one of the biggest challenges people face is motivation. It's easy to have the best of intentions. But when the moment comes to roll out your mat, get your keys, get in the car, go to the gym, it can feel like climbing a mountain. It's not your fault, and you're very much not alone. Most fitness advice relies too much on willpower and discipline, which, as we've discussed, naturally fade when life gets busy or overwhelming. And Hit and Chat solves this differently. It is a system built around making exercise simple, achievable, and enjoyable. We make the sessions short and manageable, and we focus on movements that build real-world strength and confidence, not just exhaustion. And we meet live as a community once a week, which means that you're never doing it alone. You're always in the same boat with someone else. And over time, showing up becomes a highlight of your week. It's not one of those classes that you dread and you have to force yourself to go. That it's like I said about exit. It's like I said about the sports club I go to. You turn up for the people you want to, and it feels good. Hopefully, these two ladies. This is a stock picture. They're not actually in my Hit and Chat community, but I feel like this is the energy. This is the mood. This is the smile that it creates. People just want to support one another and just want to do the best by themselves. So with this slide, I will say Hit and Chat is not just another workout. It is a complete support system for feeling stronger, moving better, and living life more fully. So imagine this. It's Wednesday evening. You're at home. You've not had to book onto a class. You've not had to get changed. You've not had to find a parking space, stand awkwardly outside the class waiting to go in. You've probably got your phone in your hand anyway, and you open it up, click a link, and there we all are, a small, welcoming group ready to move and support each other. What could be better, right? We start with a simple joint-friendly workout, no pressure, no pushing to exhaustion, and you move your body in ways that feel good and build real-world strength and mobility and confidence. Everything in Hit and Chat is designed to fit real life, not gym life. And afterwards, you don't just, if you were at the gym, everyone just like grabs their things and leaves and gets in the car and go home. And here we don't just shut the laptop and off we go making dinner. We have 10 minutes at the end where we check in with one another, we support one another, we celebrate each other's wins, we do the things that I've been talking about in this presentation, so that we do feel motivated, so that our intrinsic motivation feels good and we want to stay there and we want to keep working for ourselves. This is a space where you are seen, supported, and never judged. And over time, this half an hour exercise and 10-minute chat becomes a rhythm that you look forward to. Like I say, it becomes a highlight of your week, a time to reconnect with your body, rebuild your confidence, and recharge your energy for, whatever you've got coming next. So this experience, is Hit and Chat for you? Well, it might be if you want to feel stronger and more mobile in everyday life. If you want to stay independent and active as you age, if you want a welcoming space without fear of injury or judgment, and if you want a simple, realistic way to stay consistent when life gets busy. So, everything you get inside Hit and Chat. So every week there is a 30-minute live workout with the community, building real strength, balance, and resilience. Each session, there is a mindset, a discussion, a talk that supports our resiliency, our mindset, and keeps us motivated and moving forward. The sessions are recorded, and there are recorded sessions so that you can catch up if you've missed one, so that you can repeat it if you want to. There are 4 weekly check-ins. So, and I don't mean Weight Watchers, where we just check in with each other. At the start, we share what our intentions are, what we're planning. And then every 4 weeks, we just check in with one another and give each other advice. We can ask questions, find out the answers. We have our progress challenge every 8 weeks, like our balance challenge. So that's another opportunity for you to celebrate the small wins along the way and see what positive impact exercise is having on your life. Again, helping you to stick with a system that is supportive and has your best interests at heart. And then the 6th thing you'll get is a supportive community. It is a close-knit community that lifts you up, that celebrates your wins and keeps you consistent even when life gets busy. So, as I said before, Hit and Chat is not just another workout. It is a complete system and community built to make consistency simple, achievable, and enjoyable. You train alongside people just like you in bite-sized chunks with sessions that fit real life, and there's no pushing through pain, no forcing yourself to find motivation, just steady, smart progress with a group that supports you and lifts you up. Everything is designed for real longevity. Stronger bodies, better movement, a life where you are active, independent, and confident for longer, hopefully for as long as you want to be. The investment is £35 a month, which is less than the price of 1 hour's PT session. And for that month of it being £35, you are getting coaching, community support, accountability, and tools that will help keep you stronger for life. So I don't know if I said that right. It's £35 a month, which is less than the price of 1 PT training session, and you get all of that, a full month of live support basically and coaching. So the next cycle of Hit and Chat starts this coming Wednesday, and doors will be open until Sunday. We're closing them on Sunday, so that it just means that we get to make sure that everyone is enrolled and properly set up for when Wednesday comes. there is no time like the present, and the sooner you get started, the sooner you will start feeling stronger, more mobile, and more confident in your body. Next week, there will be a special kickoff call, an induction call, where we will set you up. We will help you with your goals, introduce you to the workout, introduce you to each other, so that you can start this 8 weeks in the most positive, best way that you can. Here comes the tricky bit for me, but this is the easy bit for you. Joining is simple. I will put a link in the chat right now. Hopefully you can find that chat box, and so can I. There we go. You can click that link right now and it will just take you straight to a sign up page. It just takes a few minutes, and once you're signed up, I will send you everything you need to know for that first session. Okay, so I've put the link in the chat. Let me just check. Yeah, I definitely did. Let me just go back to the slides. Sorry about this. There we go. Okay, so yeah, like I say, simple, click the link. And then I guess it just leaves me to say, if you're feeling ready to feel stronger, build a future where you feel confident in your body, active and independent, then Hit and Chat is here for you. Click the link in the chat, and I cannot wait to welcome you in and have you as part of the community. And I will just finish with letting there be any questions. Any questions at all? Let's stop sharing. Okay. So if there are any questions, especially if you're listening to this on the replay, then please just drop me a message in whichever way you can. I've probably sent you an email. There will be an email going straight out off the back of this webinar with all the information on. So if you have missed it, you can catch the replay. You can find out what we're talking about. I think that's it. Yeah, any questions, just drop me a line. All right.